All right, hey, HadesOmega here, and we're back from the Virginia City Grand Prix, the 50th anniversary of Virginia City Grand Prix. So if you guys don't know, they canceled it last year because of the pandemic, and then so they had it again this year. All right, so it's been like 2 years since they've had it. All right, and this is the 50th anniversary. So there it is. There's the T-shirt. This is pretty much HadesOmega's consolation prize. The T-shirt, and I had to buy it too. Okay, there's the back of it. All right, I don't know if you guys can see it too well. We'll squat down a little bit. All right, yeah, pretty cool T-shirt. It's a pretty big event. It's a pretty grand race. All right, I've done the LAB to V dual sport event. All right, it's kind of got that vibe to it. All right, it's a very popular race. All right, so this is the after action review. This is what we plan to do, what really happened, and what things that we can improve and things that we should continue to do. All right, that type of stuff. All right. Well, so that's the introduction for AAR. All right. So what was the plan? We were gonna go race the Virginia City Grand Prix with the Sauron Lightby in the electric class. So this is the very first time that they have an electric class for the Virginia City Grand Prix. All right. And I was excited to go race against other electric bikes in the electric class for the Virginia City Grand Prix. All right. So if you guys don't know, there's 2 days of racing. All the pros and the fast people, the people that know what they've been doing, very proficient riders. So they race on Saturday. All right. The first day of racing. There's 2 days of racing. All right. And then on the second day, all the amateurs and novices and the less proficient racers like the C class and all that stuff, they race on Sunday, and that's what I call the cowboy class. So I say, dude, they've got all these weird kind of bikes that shouldn't be racing in this race, is what I'm gonna say. Stuff like adventure bikes, vintage bikes, like heavyweight dual sports, and electric bikes. All right, so yeah, electric bikes is such a new thing. All I can say is, well, I'll talk about it later, but it reminded me of the documentary Charge. All right, and I will talk about that when I get to the racing part. All right, so anyway, the plan was to go there on Friday, set up camp, kind of. Virginia City is like a little old town between Carson City and Reno in Nevada. Okay. It's a pretty cool place. Check it out. If you're ever in the area, go drive on by. It's actually not that far from the city, okay? And yeah, so it's an old mining town, and you get to race through the town and around the trails and everything and back, all right? That's pretty much the race, all right? So the plan was we're going to do this race on Sunday, all right? And then Saturday, I was just going to watch the racing, all right? And they're doing it in October this year because of the pandemic. Pandemic was kind of crazy in April, so they couldn't do it. So they moved it to October. Well, turns out October is in California and I guess Nevada also. We're having a drought. We had a really bad drought for like a year, more than a year now. Okay, and then this is the first time I've seen it rain so freaking bad. All right, and that wasn't what I was worried during the weekend. I was hoping that, it wouldn't rain so much. Okay? So anyway, HadesOmega goes there Friday. We set up shop. And then I take a little tour of town. It turns out pretty much everything closes at like 5 o'clock. So by the time I got all my gear and I did the registration and everything, check in on the Friday. And then the next day was the racing. I got the bike teched that day because the bike was, they closed tech already by the time I tried to get the bike teched. Really, there was nothing to tech on the bike, man. There's no exhaust on it, all right? They literally, the lady went to go look for the exhaust to put the little probe in it. And I was like, oh yeah, it's an electric bike. And she was just like, okay. She just told me like, yeah, make sure you wear your helmet at all times and try not to ride, crazy, whatever. And then she just stuck the tech sticker on that. I wonder if it's still on there. I don't know. It's a yellow sticker they put on there. It means you're good to go, okay? That's the only tech that they need to do. So we got that all squared away. Everything was turning out pretty good. And then we watched the racing the next day. The racing was awesome, all right, and the conditions were awesome. They were perfect, all right. It had rained really early in the morning, and then the rest of the day it didn't rain at all. It was just kind of cold and windy and cloudy. All right, that's the perfect conditions you want to race in. And they had hero dirt, all right, not mud, not dust. There wasn't much dust. It was perfect hero dirt. All right, the conditions were great on Saturday, and the racing was great to watch. All right, I had a great time watching them. You really can't watch. You can really only watch like maybe 10% of the racing. Okay, all the racing that happens in the town. That's it. That's all you're gonna get to witness. All right, all the carnage that happens out on the course. You're not gonna see any of that. But from what I heard, this is probably one of the hardest courses they've had in a while. Okay, but that's so. There's two kind of courses. All right, HadesOmega's gonna go over it real quick. There's what's called the red loop, and then there's the full course. All right, so when we raced, we did what was called the red loop. It's a very shortened version of the full loop. All right, the full loop is around 20 to 30 miles, or I think it was like 27 miles is what they said. And the red loop, they told us on Sunday during the riders briefing, it was 9 miles. On the rider packet, it says 5 to 10 miles. And so I was like, oh cool, if it's like 5 miles, that's no problem. We can finish that like with 2 batteries, you know. And then it turned out to being like 9. If it was like 10 miles, then yeah, we might have some problem, because like at 20 miles, we're already out of power already, you know, and we don't know what kind of trouble we're going to run into. Well, we ran into a lot of trouble. So I said, okay, so it's race day. It's time to go racing, and I got to watch the race the day before, and I kind of knew what was up. I knew how to get into the pits and you have to go here and there, and yeah, so it didn't rain until like early in the morning. It didn't start raining, and then it just kept on raining and raining. It did not stop raining for the rest of the day. The more time that passed by, the more it started raining. It was so HadesOmega got to do a wet race. All right, that's my first time racing in that kind of rain, is what I'm gonna say. All right, I've raced in pretty damp conditions before and some mud and stuff, but no, this is a whole new level, man. This is the real deal. Everyone that was out there racing on Sunday, I'm gonna tell, straight up cowboy. But hats off to you guys, because you guys are crazy. That's what I say. It was such a hard race. Okay, the rain and the mud, it just made everything twice as hard as it should be. You know, the conditions were not good for me and the light bee, or anyone else for that matter. So let's say, all right. It was freaking bad, okay? So, anyway, yeah, let's start from the beginning. So yeah, the bike is like just wet, really wet. So what HadesOmega should have done is, I was supposed to bring a cover. I was going to bring a motorcycle cover, because I knew it will probably rain, all right? And I know that this bike has problems when it gets wet. When I wash it, the bike just takes off on itself when I twist the throttle. So that's really bad, and we had to race it in that shape, okay? The bike it got so wet overnight, raining, and it was just raining the whole day. It got wetter and wetter and wetter, and it just got worse and worse until like it was unrideable, okay, is what I'm gonna say. It made it so hard to ride. It just was not riding properly, is what I'm gonna say. But yeah, the bike got really wet. The bike got really wet overnight, and that was kind of my downfall there, okay? A stock Zoran doesn't really have much trouble when it gets wet, all right? It runs fine, because I rode this light bee in the Rubicon Trail when it was snowing and really wet, and it didn't care, you know. But it does if you have a BAC 4000 controller from Electric Race Technologies. I don't know why, it always has this problem, and it's really annoying. So from now on, we cannot do any more of these wet races. If the bike gets really, really wet, we cannot race it, okay? So we're not going to do this race again if it's going to be that, like that, okay? So anyway, yeah, we go there, and then there's a pit, okay? You can actually, people put fuel and tools, and like, if they get a flat tire, they can swap out a wheel and stuff. Yeah, these people these are a legit pit, okay? It's that long a race. The race is 3 hours for us, all right? It was 3 hours for us, and I think it's like 4 hours for the pros and everybody, okay? and so we don't have to race as long, is what I'm gonna say. Okay, so yeah, so there's a pit, and so what HadesOmega brought to the pit was this backpack. All right here. This backpack, it's all wet and stuff, and it has so I had the spare battery in there. My plan was I was camping at the fairgrounds, and the fairgrounds is maybe a quarter mile from the pits. All right, so I ride over to the pits with my gear on and everything in the morning, and I take my battery with me. Oh, it's got 23% charge now. How nice of you. Why does it have 23% charge? Because it was giving me 0% charge. Anyway, we'll go charge this bad boy. Anyway, there's my battery. I brought my battery. I brought a couple drinks that I brought a muscle milk. And I brought a snack, okay? Like, cause you can legit take a break when you get to the pit stop, you know, but you probably shouldn't, because it's a pit stop and you're still racing, you know. So anyway, I brought a bunch of cameras with me, so I have to go find those. I brought 3 freaking cameras with me. So I had one camera on there, the action camera, okay, is what I'm gonna say. And then I brought 2 other ones. It turns out the one that I brought, when the first one ran out of power, it didn't charge. I have one with like a bad battery, so I got to figure out which one that is and just not use it anymore, because I bought three of these cameras. And then I found it after the race. I said, oh, that's where I had it. Like, damn it! So I could have got the second lap. All right. But anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. So yeah, I brought this there. It actually had the other battery, the battery that's in it right now, over here, okay? Yeah, so we put that stuff down there. I was there with some of my bar friends from the bar forum. Like Tom was racing that day. And so I left it there under their tent. It's a good thing I left it under tent, or else it would have gotten like really, really wet, okay? So that's good. HadesOmega doesn't have a pop-up tent or anything fancy like that. That's what I want to say. And then the night before, I was just thinking, like, you know what? We could totally have brought our generator to the pits, and then we could charge the battery while we're out racing. We could swap the battery, and then the one that we just used, we can charge it, and then that we'll have a little bit more charge when we come back. We can swap it again, because my guess was that, like, a battery should last almost 2 laps, all right? And sure enough, it lasted almost 2 laps. That was the problem, okay? So anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself again. So I dropped the stuff off at the pits. The bike is really wet, and it's driving itself, all right? It's like it's got cruise control. Like, I get on the throttle a little bit, and it takes off by itself, just a little bit, not too crazy, and then I have to use the regen throttle to slow it down. So that's how I raced it the whole day, okay? I pretty much raced it on cruise control, all right? Whenever I wanted to slow down, I would get on the regen throttle. I would pretty much use that regen throttle as a one-pedal driving throttle, okay? Except opposite, okay? We would use it to slow down, all right? If you held it down all the way, it would stop the bike. And it would just get worse and worse throughout the day. It would get faster and faster, and then, yeah, it was just not good, man, is what I'm going to say. So we go to stage, and we're number 901, all right? I got a number plate here. Kind of hard to see. 901, all right, this red plate here. So the red colored plate means you're going to ride the red loop, the shortened route, okay? Because you're riding it with a bunch of other hooligans. So I say, all right? And so HadesOmega was number 901. There were 3 other Saurons. They were pretty much stock, all right? And then there was Electric Motion Trials bike, and then there was a Kate Kalk with KTM suspension, and then there was a what was the other one? It was a home-built XR250 electric bike. All right, the frame was the XR250, but the rest was, you know, thing. And that guy had a pretty trick setup. It sounded and looked like an Alta, is what I want to say. The guy built it like from the ground up. It was pretty freaking awesome. I shot some video of the bikes. Check that video out, okay? And I chatted with them, and that was one of the things HadesOmega was really excited about this race. We're gonna have an electric bike race. We're gonna race with other electric bikes. I've never really done that before, and it was so much fun. And it was fun to meet these guys. They were locals. They were from like Sparks and Reno and stuff, and most of them had Saurons. All right, so you can bet there'll probably be more Saurons next time. That's what I say. And then immediately, there's already a problem HadesOmega's GPS. The batteries didn't work for the GPS, so I didn't get any tracks, okay? I was going to use the GPS to get the track so you guys could see what we were racing, you know, but I have pictures of I have a Google Earth picture that they gave us, you know, that I took picture of. That's the only thing I got to go off of, okay? I didn't I didn't get any tracks of my own like I normally do, okay? So the problem is, it was so cold, okay? It gets down almost into the 30s at night, and then in the daytime it's like 40s and 50s, all right? It is really cold, and it's 6,000 foot elevation. The elevation, the bike doesn't really care about it, but you know what? The batteries care if it gets too cold, all right? So that was the kind of the theme of the race, all right? The batteries, if you guys don't know anything about lithium-ion batteries, all right, when they're cold, they don't output. You get reduced range, all right. You don't get as much range as you normally do when it's warm, okay? Because electrons flow better when it's warm, all right. Which is funny because I have 23% on this battery and it had 0% when I was in the cold weather. So that just goes to show you can't squeeze all the power out of the pack like that. Now it says it has 61 volts. That's kind of what the heck, man. So anyway, yeah. So that's probably why the my GPS batteries, they're nickel metal hydride batteries, they were not performing. The GPS didn't start, okay? And I was planning to use that GPS to tell me one thing I did to prep the bike is I ran the bike without the NXT display because I know it was going to get wet. I didn't want it to get wet and messed up, all right? So I took it off. I had just updated it to the latest firmware that allows me to do that. So that actually came in handy. All I did was put a little rubber plug on top of the connector for it, and then, yeah, it was good to go. The only thing is you can't change settings while you're riding, while you're out there. So, but I was okay. I was like, well, so I had been tuning the bike during the Friday and Saturday. It had way too much power, I would just get on it a little bit, and it would just take off. It was like an on-off switch, so I had to actually detune it a little bit, all right? And also I knew like the objective of this race is to finish the race, not try to just freaking ride it like wide open throttle the whole freaking night. Ride it as fast as you can. We needed to finish the race, all right? So HadesOmega was planning to ride it 50%, all right? I wasn't planning to ride it fast at all, okay? And so that was the plan, just to finish the race. And we had 2 batteries. Anyway, GPS already doesn't work good. Like, the GPS doesn't work at all. So I didn't get any tracks. I got the time. I didn't have a time. I couldn't tell what time it was. I was going to use the GPS to tell me what time it was, how long I've been out on the track, how long I've been moving, my average speeds, the speedometer, all that stuff. Nothing. I couldn't get any of that info because my GPS didn't start, alright? So next time, fresh batteries in the GPS. Just use freaking some Duracell batteries, some good AA batteries, alright? I was kind of gonna rely on that GPS. So after the first lap, I just took the GPS. I was like, I don't need this shit. It doesn't work anymore. So I couldn't find any AA batteries. I asked around some people that are around there I saw them. They had backpacks and stuff. Like, hey, do you have any AA batteries? I'm like, no. So I didn't have any AA batteries. Sometimes I keep them in my trail pouch for spares. And I guess I must have used them already. That's what it say. I didn't have any spare AA batteries. So remember that. Bring spare AA batteries in your trail pouch, okay? So I gotta remember that. So that's an improve right there. So GPS, no GPS the whole race, okay? I couldn't get my track record my tracks, my time, how long I've been moving, my average speeds, the time of day. I couldn't tell any of that. I had to keep on asking people, hey, what time is it? How long have we been out here? I'll tell you this. When you're out there racing, you don't know, you can't really keep track of how much time you're out there. You're just out there and you're working hard, all right? You don't know, all I have to say is like, man, that time passed by so quickly. It just like blinking of an eye sort of type of thing. And it was tough, all right? So yeah, we were racing, we're lined up with all the electric bikes. We're the last ones to go out, all right? We're the last ones to go out and we're the first ones to finish because we're technically we should, you were scored on the first 3 laps, all right? The first 3 laps. So once you've done 3 laps, you're done with your race. You don't have to go anymore, all right? But, what am I going to say? Yeah, only 3 laps is what I'm going to say. So that's why they set us out last, because we would probably come in first if, you know, if we were proficient. So I'm saying if we would finish our lap, because we're doing the shortened loop and we only have to do 3 laps, you know. Well, it turns out like a lot of people, even the people doing the red loop, not a lot of people finished like the second lap. Like they were done by the first lap already. Yeah. So anyway, so here's what happened. So we set out. And yeah, we're going, and like, yeah, people are like, zooming past me. Like, HadesOmega is just trying to cruise on down the street. It's really steep street, guys. And I'm already can't see stuff, man. Like, my goggles are fogging up, and there's like crap all over my goggles. I'm trying to clean it off with my gloves. It was a shit show, is what I'm gonna say. All right, I'm just following all these bikes and stuff. The other Surons were doing pretty good, dude. There was a dude that one of the Surons, I followed him many times. I was following him a lot. He would pass me, and then I would pass him, and we would stop and we would chat like, "Yeah, man, how you doing, dude?" We were like Team Suron. That's what I say. I didn't really see the other Suron guys. They were having problems with their bikes. Everyone was having problems with their bikes, man. I'm telling you, this weather condition is not ideal for racing an electric bike. Water and electricity, they don't mix. That's what we say, all right? And cold weather, too. Okay? So that's another crappy thing. So what else? Yeah, so anyway, we're going along. We're riding the trails. It's actually not that hard a course, all right? So from what I heard, the full course is was just like carnage. Carnage. Like rock hopping and stuff. Some crazy stuff, all right? But the red loop wasn't actually that bad, but there was this one hill, all right, and my buddy Dimitri told me about it. Like, yeah, like when they got to the first hill, there was like a bunch of people there, and we were at the end, so we saw like there had to be 50 bikes just like stacked up there waiting to get up this hill, all right. It's like, you know, in LAB to V when there's a steep hill climb, and if you don't get there first, there's this big group of people waiting to go up there, and you gotta wait for them to go up. And most of them were just kind of just twiddling their thumbs, just looking at it like, oh, I don't know if I want to go up, that type of thing. Well, me and the other Suron, we were like, fuck it, let's go. So we were just like, see you guys. We just went up there and we just motored up it. Yeah, dude, the Surons made it up there like pretty easily, man. I'm telling you, the electric bikes were made it look easy, is what I'm gonna say. We were just like, whatever, you know, like, see you guys. Well, it turns out those guys would wind up passing us later anyways. But yeah, so that was the first, like, kind of obstacle, like, hard section, all right? The rest is, like, kind of rocky, kind of whooped out, double track. A lot of it was double track, some of it was single track. There was some whoop sections, some really big whoop sections, you know? And I just took it easy. I just rode up and down, you know. I didn't go really fast, all right? I knew this bike couldn't go fast on the whoops anyways because I don't have a good fork on it. And yeah, so I was just riding with the other Suron guy. Okay, so the HadesOmega's first problem. We were going down this hill, and must have been a sand hill or something. We were going down it, and my front wheel locks up. All right, so as you can see, I don't have a front fender on this bike anymore. My Crud XL fender, it broke off, all right? So okay, I'll tell you this. Crud XL advertised their fender to not be, it would not pack up with mud. Well, it packed up with mud so much, it locked up, okay? And there's so much mud under here that the black anodized aluminum, it's rubbed raw. It's just the other side of this wheel is just polished aluminum type of thing, okay? So yeah, it was that bad, man, I'm telling you. And I could not get it down the hill. I got stuck there, you know, and I had to like kind of, I took the O-rings off the fender and I tried to move it up as much as possible. We need a high fender for this bike, all right? Plus you got this crossbar, that doesn't help either. Now HadesOmega's thinking maybe I'm going to go with the Manitow Dorado, okay? Because the Manitow Dorado is an upside down fork and it doesn't have this fork brace. And it has fender guard. It has stanchion guards. All right, it has fork guards on it. I think I'm going with the upside down, man, because I'm just tired of these forks. the mud just destroys them, destroys the stanchions, man. It's not good at all. They're really muddy conditions is what I want to say. Yeah, so at some point I was able to get the fender high enough where I could go down the hill, and it was just really slow, man. It was silt. There was silt on that hill, okay, and you would see it. It would just pack up the tires, and HadesOmega had a real hard time. Even the other guy in the other Soron, his stubby fender in the back, it got packed up with so much mud I could see it like it was like pushing it back and stuff. It was pretty bad, man. I have to say these tires, for the muddy conditions, they did pretty good, alright? They did get packed up with mud, but like there's nothing you could do about it. When your tires get packed up with that much mud, you gotta go faster. The faster you go, the mud, they clean themselves. The lugs clean themselves, alright? So we had the right tires for the race, definitely. But the fender, like, yeah, the fender, it locked up the wheel. So yeah, low fender, no good anymore. We have to go with the high fender from now on. So HadesOmega is going to look for a high fender. But yeah, definitely we shouldn't be racing in these conditions. If it was like that again, I'm not going to do this. Okay? But anyway, so the rest was actually not that hard. But the problem is my goggles were fogging. So I had to clean my goggles all the time with my gloves. I had nothing to wipe it with. And so every 100, 200, or 200 feet, I would stop. Like if there was a clear place, I would stop and I would clean my goggles, take it off, and clean it again. And then we'd keep on going, and then we'd have to. It was the same thing. We'd have to keep on cleaning it because I could barely see anything, man. Now I could have just rode without my goggles, but like, hey, when these guys come blast past you with their big dirt bikes, they're gonna roost you, and then you could get something in your eyes. So I don't think it's worth getting an eye injury, you know. So I rode with my goggles on as much as possible. Yeah, so pretty freaking bad, man. And then what else happened? Yeah, it was just carnage, man. So there was some pretty kind of steep downhills with a lot of mud and stuff, and it was clay. The stuff turned into like clay after a while, and you could see the adventure bikes. They'd slide and they'd drop the bike and they'd look hella tired. They'd have to pick it up and stuff, and then you see the vintage bikes. They were having problems too. I remember there's a Diva class that's a women riders. Okay, they ride the Red Loop, all right, and I saw one of them. They got injured. They had to have a medic extract them and stuff. Yeah, that bad. And then when I came back again, the bike was still there, but the person wasn't there, so they must have got her. I think two of the female riders had problems. Yeah, and then I ran into another female rider, one of the Diva riders, on my second loop, and she's like, "So what lap are you on?" And they're like, I'm on the first loop," and she's like, I'm just milking that throttle. She's just like taking her sweet time, you know, and I've already lapped her. So there you go, guys. HadesOmega lapped one of the female dirt bike riders. All right, she was riding like a legit dirt bike. Okay, like it was like a KTM or something. I don't know. Yeah, it was kind of. I was like, okay, whatever, have fun. and yeah. So to tell you the truth. Well, the rest of the course was just, yeah, some single track, some uphills. It was nothing too crazy. HadesOmega has ridden much crazier stuff than that, alright? But the conditions, the wet mud and the rain and the goggles fogging and my bike, yeah, so I had to ride the bike like on cruise control the whole time, alright? I'd get on the throttle, it would take off by itself, and I would just let it ride itself. Because I wouldn't give it any throttle input, it would take off. So if I wanted to slow down, I'd have to get on the regen throttle. And after a while, man, my thumb was getting tired working that regen throttle. So HadesOmega had a strategy. When we got to the downhill, so even just to save some power, I turned the bike off and I let it roll down the hill. And like, yeah, I rode it like a freaking mountain bike down the hill. It's crazy, right? And then when I got to a section I needed power again, I just turned the bike on and I'd go. HadesOmega did everything he could to freaking hypermile the light V, alright? So yeah, and then, so there's there were three intersections, alright? So there was three, where you would come back onto the full course, it would say full track and would see red loop, and there would be somebody there, and they say, hey, they would look at your number plate, and if you had a red number plate, you were riding the red loop, the shorter loop. So they're gonna tell you to go left. So they told us like every time you get to an intersection, you're gonna go left. You're gonna go left. And there's a big sign there that says red loop left. All right. And there's a dude out there. He points at you. He says, "You go that way." But that's where my brake areas would be. I'd be like stopping there and clean my goggles and stuff. One of them had like a towel. I was like, "Oh yeah, thanks, man. I could clean my goggles with the towel." So if it's gonna be a wet race, like always take like a microfiber cloth or something with you, okay, when you go out. So that's one of the things HadesOmega is going to put in his kit when he goes racing in the dirt, is a microfiber cloth, all right? I think that would come in handy. Like if your goggles got too dusty, you could stop and clean it real quick, and thing it. It's better than using your glove, man. The glove doesn't really help all that much. I think a tissue paper. So yeah, I'll talk about that on the second lap. But anyway, yeah, the first, so we get close to the end already. We've done the 3. There's the 3 intersections. I was counting them. 1, 2, 3. I was like, oh, we're almost done. By the time you get to the 3rd intersection where you have to head towards the red loop, you're about like 2/3 through already. You're most of the way through, maybe like 3/4 of the way through. And I was like, oh yeah, man, we're almost done. And then yeah, at some point it spits you out onto a road, and you take that road back to Virginia City. And then, but by that time, I still can't see very well. Like, I'm riding through the street. We're going pretty fast. We must have been going like 20, 30 miles an hour. And yeah, just water gets on your goggles, and you can't see anything. I'm like, I can't see anything, dude. And there's these turns. You gotta take these 90-degree turns because you're racing on streets, man. So like it just stops, and then you have to make a 90-degree turn. I'm looking at the cones and the hay bale. I'm like, I think that's a turn. I was like, and I see the other bikes turning. I'm like, oh, you better slow down before we get there, man, because I didn't want to crash into the thing. And we had to do that a couple of times. Then we had to ride up a dirt hill, and then boom, we did the first lap. All right, HadesOmega goes under the transponder thing, and they get my time. And I was like, oh, I think I'm gonna head to the pits, and I'm gonna see what's up.